Whoa.
It had open cars for its passengers, and they all got full of smoke when they rode it.
That wasn't fun.
This is part of our railroad history. Now we're going into the 21st century.
I.
Passenger trains in America now go 90, 100, 110 miles an hour, or even faster. They bring passengers into cities and out of cities.
And out of cities.
Into tunnels
Into tunnels
and out of tunnels.
and out of tunnels.
Which way is this train going?
In.
Right. And which way is this one going?
Out. Out. Out.
Right again. Boy, you really know the ins and outs of train tunnels, don't you?
Yeah.
Another train that your grandfather might tell you about is the interurban. Interurbans are big trolley cars that used to run between cities. The word interurban actually means between cities.
The urban train.
Yay.
When people want to go somewhere, the journey is how they get there. These people are on a journey by train. This is called a junction. It is where two or more railroad tracks meet or go together or cross each other.
Junction.
Junction. Two tracks cross each other. Did you see that?
K.
Kids of all ages love trains. And some grown-ups are just kids at heart.
Kids.
Sometimes, even when we're grown up, we like to do things that kids like to do. Why not?
Why not?
If kids had all the fun, what would we have to look forward to when we grow up?
That looks like fun. That's a neat train.
Another K word is kitchen. Many trains that carry passengers have kitchens. Trains can have kitchens to cook for the passengers who eat in the dining car. Today, the passengers get to enjoy the food from the rolling kitchen in the dining car.
Kitchen. L.
L is for luggage. The car attendant on the train might help you with your luggage if you are a passenger on that train.
Luggage.
Luggage is sometimes also called baggage.
Baggage.
That's why it's put on board the baggage car of a passenger train. Passenger trains do not pull any freight cars. Freight trains and their cars carry all different kinds of loads.
Loads.
Here on these freight trains we find each car with its load. These hopper cars have a load of coal. These box cars are carrying a load of toys. These rail cars are loaded with timber logs. These tanker cars are loaded with oil. Who remembers what this is called? It's an L word, and we've already heard it in this video.
Locomotion.
That's it! Remember, the locomotion was built so long ago that it had open cars and people got smoke all over them when they rode it?
Yeah.
Well, slowly over the years, some important people with good imaginations, just like you, kept working on a way that people could ride more comfortably on a passenger train. Now, passengers can ride on cushiony seats, be cool in the summer, and warm in the winter. The cars are now modern.
Modern.
An especially interesting train is like this one that travels on only one rail. It's called a monorail. This train is called a monorail, and it takes people to downtown Seattle. Monorail. The word means one rail.
Monorail.
This train is tunneling under a what?
Mountain.
Right. You are pretty good at this. Mountains are all across America. When the railroads were being built, the hard-working men had to go through mountain ranges and lay the track. The railroad builders' hard work and dedication is how trains of today can cross our nation from coast to coast.
Nation. N.
Many trains pass through nature. Riding by train today is a great way to see nature at its best. Railroads run through many places in nature that only those who ride the train will see.
That's pretty. Nature.
The first engine on this train is new. New locomotives have been in production for over 150 years. Of course, now they are bigger and more powerful than they used to be.
New diesel.
Many different trains and engines have been built over the years. Engines can sometimes be identified by their whistles, the number of wheels the engine has, and by the number that is printed on the side. No matter what kind of engine, whether it's a steam locomotive, or a diesel, or electric engine, it has a number on it which is used to identify it, kind of like a name.
Number.
This locomotive is known as number 1630. It has been completely restored and is in working condition today.
1630.
That was pretty good. Now we're going to look at a lot more trains so you can help say the numbers. Look closely because some are harder to see than others.
587. 96. 96. 121. 121. 914. 611. 72. 72. 6936. 2. 1374. 7. 7. 5. 5. 757. 714. 160.
Oh.
Some old trains are in parks for everyone to see. Some old streetcars,
Oh, trolley.
steam engines, cabooses, diesels, and other cars have been restored on the inside and out so that they can be visited at museums, parks, and train stations across the country. Restoring makes old things look nice again, just like they did when they were new. These people are getting on this passenger train. These people are getting off of this train.
On.
Off.
We have observed these passengers getting on and off their trains. Observed is a word that describes looking at something closely. There is a special railroad car for observing on a train ride. It's called the observation car. It has lots of windows so you can see everything around you as you travel.
Observation.
Like we've mentioned before, the people in the observation car on this train are called passengers.
P.
Passengers are people who have paid for a ticket to ride on the train. Some passengers ride for pleasure, while some ride on trains to get to work. Being a passenger on a train is really fun. We have seen lots of passengers riding on trains and have learned about the history of passenger trains just a few minutes ago.
Passengers.
These passengers are waiting on the platform to board their train.
Platform.
This is a very busy platform at a station near Chicago where thousands of passengers travel through every day on their way to and from work. Safety is always in mind as everyone is careful not to push anyone else. The platform could be a dangerous place if passengers aren't careful. Always play it safe around trains and their tracks.
Be careful.
Train engines must do lots of pushing
Pushing.
and pulling.
It's pulling.
This engine pulls its freight cars out of the yard after they have been coupled. Most engines we see are pulling their cars. What is this steam engine doing?
Pushing.
And what is this diesel engine doing?
Pulling.
Pulling.
Very good. Sometimes trains can have engines both pulling and pushing.
Pulling. Pushing. I hear a train coming right now. Me too. There's number 497. Wow. Tanker car. Another steam engine. There's number 484. There's a caboose. 2.
When we see trains, sometimes they are going slowly, and sometimes they are going quickly.
Quickly.
Quickly is kind of like speedy or fast.
Quickly.
Quickly is how we should safely cross railroad tracks after we stop, look, and listen. We should cross quickly and carefully. Never play around railroad crossings or tracks. Quickly moving trains are cool, but they can be dangerous too. What letters do you see on this sign?
R. R.
What does this sign stand for? Can anyone tell me?
Railroad crossing.
Railroad crossing.
That's very good. The railroad got its name because the trains ride on rails.
Rail.
The rails must be the same distance or gauge apart and be kept sturdily in place with wooden or concrete ties.
Rail.
The rails and ties make up the track, and spikes are driven in to hold it all down. The railroad connects cities all across America and stops at railroad stations to pick up or drop off its passengers.
S.
Stations are where passengers get their tickets and wait for their train to come.
Station.
Some stations are big
Station.
and some stations are small. They
Station.
usually have seats where you can wait for your train, and they usually have a board that lists the schedule for the train.
Schedule.
Schedule.
A schedule is the timetable for the trains to run efficiently on their tracks. A computer helps the dispatcher keep the trains running on schedule. This is a very important job because in many places there is only one track. This means that switches are needed to keep the trains from running into one another. Sometimes you might see a railroader riding on the side of a train. Never ever try to do this yourself because you could get hurt. This is only for grown-up railroaders to do. This railroader is a switchman who in some railroad yards helps the train go through the switches.
Switch. Turn. Okay.
The engine's turning.
Sometimes one train is kept on the side while another one passes. This piece of track is called a siding.
One train's going by the other one.
Siding.
Switches and sidings are one way trains run safely, but another important S word is signal.
There's the signal by the hand. Signal. Signal.
We already know about crossing signals, but there are other signals that are warning lights and signs that show the engineer when to stop and when to go. There are red, yellow, and green lights and semaphores that have different positions showing when to go, slow down, or stop. If there is an emergency ahead, a signal will show the engineer that he has to change his speed. We have talked about railroad safety in this video, and I hope that you know how important it really is.
Safety.
Who can remember some railroad safety rules?
Stop, look, and listen.
Stay away from moving trains.